Okay, this is the Unit 4 review packet, topic 11A. This is synthetic division and long division as well. So for synthetic division, I'm going to draw this kind of line, another line here. I look at what I'm dividing by and I flip the sign. So if I have n minus 3, I'm going to write a positive 3 up here. I'm basically solving for n. If I set this equal to 0, n minus 3 equals 0, I would get 3. Then I'm going to write all the coefficients. So the coefficient of n cubed is 1. Coefficient of n squared is negative 6. Coefficient of n is 14, and my constant is 27. And remember when I'm doing synthetic division, if I am missing one, I need to put a 0. This is 3, 2, 1, 0, so I'm good. I don't have to add a 0 in. But if I was missing, say, n squared, I would have to put a 0 in there. So now I drop down the 1, and I'm going to multiply 3 times 1, which is 3. Add these two together gives me negative 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Add these two together, it's 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Add these two together, it's negative 12. So what does that mean now? Well, I started with n cubed, so I need to reduce that by 1 for my answer. And these are going to be my coefficients of my answer. So I have 1 n squared, then this is my other coefficient, minus 3n, plus 5, and this is my remainder, over n minus 3. All right, let's do another one of those. So again, I'm going to draw this first. X plus 8 equals 0 would give me negative 8, so I'm going to put negative 8 there, and then I'm going to write all of my coefficients. Coefficient of x cubed, coefficient of x squared, coefficient of x, and my constant. You drop the first coefficient down, and now I multiply. 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. 5 plus negative 8 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 8 is 24. 24 and negative 17 is 7. 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. 58 and negative 56 is 2. My highest exponent of my original problem was x to the third. That means for my answer I need to drop it down 1. So this is going to be 1 x squared minus 3x plus 7 with a remainder of 2 over x plus 8. Okay, next one. Draw your lines. n minus 3 equals 0 would give me 3. Write your coefficients. Coefficient of n to the 4 is 1. I am missing n cubed, so I'm going to put a 0 in. And then I have n squared. I'm missing n, so another 0. And then I put 2. So again, you need to make sure you have everything. This is my coefficient of n to the 4th. I didn't have an n to the 3rd, so that's 0. This is my coefficient of n squared. I didn't have an n, so that's 0. And then I have 2. Drop the 1 down, the first coefficient, and then do 1 times 3 is 3. Add these two together. Multiply 3 times 3, that's 9. Add those two together. Multiply negative 1 times 3, that's negative 3. Add these two together. Multiply negative 3 by 3, that's negative 9, and add these together. When you write your answer, drop it down 1. So I had n to the 4th, so now I'm going to have n to the 3rd. It's 1 less. Plus 3n squared minus 1n minus 3, and my remainder is minus 7 over n minus 3. So again, my coefficients, right? This first row here is coefficients, and I end up with coefficients. So this 3 is the coefficient that goes in front of the n squared. 1, and that's the coefficient of n cubed. I have negative 1, that's the coefficient of n. I have negative 3, that's my constant. And then this last one is my remainder. Remember, which means if it is 0, you don't have a remainder. It goes in evenly. All right, let's take a look at the last synthetic division problem. So draw your lines. X plus 7. If I set that equal to 0, I would get negative 7. Now write your coefficients. 1, 12, 41, 52. Drop the first coefficient down, multiply it by negative 7. Add these together gives you 5. Multiply the 5 times negative 7. Add these two together, gives you 6. Multiply the 6 by negative 7. Add these two together, it gives you 10. Remember, these are coefficients of my answers, and this is my remainder. I drop it down one. I started with x cubed, so this must mean it's my coefficient of x squared plus 5x plus 6 with a remainder of 10 over x plus 7. And that is synthetic division. Now, long division, you can get the same answer by doing all those synthetic division problems with long division. So long division, I'm going to set up like I would do in long division problem from elementary school. I'm dividing by x plus 3, that goes on the outside. And on the inside, I have 10x cubed plus 27x squared. And again, I'm missing an x, so I have to make sure I put plus 0x. You've got to have them all. If I start with x cubed, I need to have x cubed, x squared, x, and a constant, both for synthetic and long division. All right, so I look at this and I say x goes into 10x cubed. It goes in 10x squared times. Now I multiply that by x, which gives me 10x cubed. Some extra paper for this. I multiply it by the 3, which gives me 30x squared. Now, you guys switch the sign. If you remember long division, you're subtracting. Subtract, subtract. You got to switch all the signs. That gives me 0, and this gives me negative 3x squared. Then you bring down the next term, so plus 0x. And now I'm going to see how many times x goes into negative 3x squared. Well, it goes in negative 3x. Now I multiply. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 3 is negative 9x. Again, you got to switch signs. So that becomes a plus, that becomes a plus. 3x squared, negative 3x squared plus 3x is 0. 0x plus 9x is 9x. Bring last term, which is 5, plus 5. X goes into 9x 9 times. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 3 is 27. Switch your signs, so that gives me 0, and this gives me negative 22, and that is my remainder. Minus 22 over x plus 3. So this is my answer. 10x squared minus 3x plus 9 minus 22 over x plus 3. All right, let's try one more. So again, we set it up. We're dividing by 2x plus 3, that goes on the outside. 6x squared plus x minus 7. And this time I didn't have to add any 0 terms because I have x squared, x, and a constant. I have all of them. I'm not missing any. So 2x goes into 6x squared 3x times. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times 3 is 9x. And again, you need to switch the signs. Minus, minus. This gives me 0. This gives me negative 8x. Bring down the 7 and divide again. 2x into negative 8x gives you negative 4. Because negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Again, you have to switch the signs. Negative 7 plus 12 is 5. That means I have a remainder of 5 over 2x plus 3. So this is my answer. 3x plus 4 plus 5 over 2x plus 3. So it's the same steps as our normal division that we did in elementary school. It's divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That's what you're doing. You divide, then you multiply, then you subtract, and then you bring down the next term. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Same exact steps as if you were just dividing 167 by 7. All right. To the last part of topic 11b. Is 7 a root of this function. Explain your answer. So if I want to know if something's a root, I can do this 3 different ways. One way is find y. So let's look at the 3 ways. Find y when x equals 7. In other words, I need to substitute 7 in and see what y equals. Because 7 being a root means that y should equal 0 if it is a root. So I can substitute by hand, or I can substitute using the stow button. So I'm going to just do it by hand so you can see what I'm doing here. So I just put 7 everywhere there's an x. And when I solve this, I get 112. Well, 112 is not 0. So no, it is not a root. So then my second method is I can do synthetic division. That's my second way I can try. If I do that, I'm going to put 7 on the outside and put all my coefficients. 4, -8, -28. So again, I bring down the first one and I multiply these. 7 times 4 is 28. Add these, get 20. Multiply these two, get 140. Add them, I get 112. That's my remainder. If it was a root, it would be 0. So again, the answer is no, doing it this way. And your last method is go to y equals, graph it, and go to the table and see. So on this one, if I went to my calculator, I would say, okay, I have 4x squared minus 8x minus 28. I go to my calculator. My window's a little bit off, so let's do zoom 6 and get it back to kind of normal. If I go to my table and it's a root, that means that y should be 0 at 7. So if I go here, I can see, no, it is not 0. So again, y equals 112, which is not 0. So no, it is not a root. So you have 3 different ways to do this. You can do it by substituting to see if it's 0. You can do it by synthetic division to see if the remainder is 0. Or you just go to the table and see what the value is when x is 7, is y 0? No.